Hey guys, welcome back to the Core Hour. Yeah, same time, same place, Wednesday 5:15. Third week doing that. And look, we're back. We're back in the Harbor Room. I know it's nuts, right? First we start here, and then we're back at my house in Richardson, and then we come back for 1 week, and then we're all of a sudden back at my house. It's like, Mike, what are you doing? Can you make up your mind? Where are you going to keep this thing? Well, it's very, very simple. I'm crazy and I cannot make up my mind. So, I just want to give a quick update real quick. Don't worry, I'm fine. I'm okay. I know there's some concerns after I had some of that, little hot stuff the other day. I came out okay. I know some of y'all were like, hope you're all right, reach out to you. Don't worry, I'm good. And the rest of y'all, not going to mention anyone by name, were like, my mom eats that for breakfast every day. That stuff's not that hot. I said it apparently twice. I don't do spicy stuff, but that's irrelevant. I'm fine. But we are going to go ahead and do a new game today, actually. Something a little different. When I mean new game, something I'm going to play by myself, actually. This is a pastime I do every so often with friends, except for some reason, mainly because of the fact I don't have any, I'm going to do it solo by myself. It's a classic one, and you guys can play it at home if you'd like to. Of course, it's actually pretty okay for the most part. It's another food challenge. You probably know what I'm thinking. A game of game of chance, a game of bravery. That's right, guys. I'm talking about the one, the only, Bean Boozled. Now, for those of y'all who don't know how this game works, like I said, it is a game of chance. Simply open it. It comes with a little spin wheel right here, and you spin it. It has all these bean flavors all over it. It's gonna land on one, and you have to pick one of those, whatever color lands on. And you have to do it. But here's the catch with those, since why it's called Boozled, Bean Boozled. See how they do it? Is that there are two different flavors, but they look exactly the same. Some of them may be something completely normal, something that you would normally get, like peach, for example, a peach flavored jelly bean. But that exact same bean may actually be another flavor known as barf, and they are no different. Like, look, I'm not even kidding. Like, I'm putting two, you can't even tell the difference between these. So, we're gonna do a couple rounds of this, just cause why not? And yes, I am ready. I did think a little bit ahead when it came to this. Have a bag just in case. Here's how it's gonna work. I'm just gonna play a couple quick rounds just to kind of gauge my response a little bit. I'm gonna spin it, I'm gonna let you guys see which one it lands on, and then I'm gonna take a wild guess and kind of see how this goes. You guys are probably once again thinking, Mike, why are we doing all these food challenges? Or why are you doing all these food challenges? Why not? Because they're awesome, they're funny, and I like being a little creative sometimes. So, here we go. I'm gonna go, like I said, I'm gonna spin one and show you guys, and we're gonna kind of take opinion right here to see how it goes. This one landed on that red one, which is chocolate pudding or canned dog food. Okay, of course I'm gonna try to cheat the system a little bit and try to observe which one's which and kind of hope for the best here. Because, I was kind of afraid of it being like this, because there's certain beans where they have normal flavors, like chocolate pudding, if you taste normal, and they still don't taste good. So it's like the lesser of two evils here. I'm feeling this one. I'm 100% feeling this one. This is the part where my buddy would make fun of me, especially at a moment like now, where I eat it. I'm not quite sure which one it is. It tastes bad either way. Nope. That's dog food. You see, that one just tastes bad either way. I feel like it's not even really fair. I don't know what dog food tastes like. Here's a bigger question. How do you come up with these flavors, man? How do you go through the process of oh yeah, this one definitely tastes like barf or something like that? How does that work? How do they do that? I don't understand. But that was a bad first start. Well, let's go ahead and do this again. I try not to move it so you can see it land on the black one, whatever that is. Berry, blue, or toothpaste. My buddy always told me that this one's kind of one of those winter ones where it's really not a bad way to go either way, so that's why I feel a lot better compared to the previous ones. You know, here's another one that gets supposed to. Look at that. They're identical. Literally identical. Berry blue or toothpaste. Who knows, man? I mean, I kind of hope it's toothpaste to get that awful taste of dog food out of my mouth. Okay, that is toothpaste, but I don't think that's really, yeah, I agree. That's not really a wacky one. It has a lot of mint more than anything. Yeah, like that feeling when you brush your teeth. Because now suddenly that taste of dog food is out of my mouth. Like all of a sudden it's like after this I was gonna brush my teeth anyways. This just did the job. I might just eat one of these after this whole thing is done anyways. Just because why not? So once again, dodge giant bullet there. So future reference, when you play with your friends, go for that blue one right there. That's a win-win either way. I just got the weird flavor and it just did me a huge favor. All right, on to the next one. You can't see it. Strawberry, banana, or dead fish. That is what we had landed on. Like, I think these two are the right ones. I don't know. There's like the solid, like yellowish one. Then there's like the almost see-through yellowish one. Then there's the one that's like a hint more yellow than most, like butter. It's like, how are we supposed to be able to tell the difference between these? I think that's just part of the wickedness behind the design of this game, just to make you falter that much more. But anyway, strawberry, banana, or dead fish. Which one? You know, I've done right hand a lot. Let's do left hand for once. Let's see how this goes. Let's try this out. Oh. Okay, yeah, that's dead fish. That's dead fish. You see, I feel like part of the design as well of this is just to, I feel like part of it is that you really can't tell what it is until later on, after. Man, that was gross. Yeah, I feel like they make you wait, they purposely make you wait just to see the look on your face when you're like, okay, I'm good, I'm relieved. And then suddenly like, no. Oh gosh, I need to eat more toothpaste. Next bean, I don't even want to sit and analyze that one. Ooh, here we go. Buttered popcorn or rotten egg is this blue one. You know, I'm kind of, especially like, I really would like a little mercy right now. I've had nothing but like the bad ones or the weird ones so far. So it'd be nice to actually have like a normal flavor for once. I mean, 3 straight beans of that, that's super unlucky. I'd be losing hardcore, and my buddy would be hardcore making fun of me at the same time. So, buttered popcorn or rotten egg? Oh, yes. Finally. You know, you'd think this would be one of the bad ones because it's an interesting flavor like buttered popcorn. I think it's such a lifesaver. I love popcorn. I really do. This was awesome. So, after 3 straight crazy flavors, we finally get a good one. Ugh. That's such a breath of fresh air. That really is. I did not think I'd get 3 straight bad ones in a row. I normally have more luck than that, but anyway, let's keep it going, shall we? I think this is the 5th bean we're on. 3 bad ones, 1 good one. Here we go. What do we got? Ooh, juicy pear or booger. So like my friend of mine, once again, I played this game a lot with my friends, a lot during youth camp, ironically, with a bunch of leaders who served together. And they have a thing with this one I'm a little nervous about. They say if you get the juicy pear, it is the best flavor of all time. It is awesome. But the alternative of booger, on the other hand, is like the worst thing ever. This one is supposed to be juicy pear or booger. Like I said, they said that this one was like, the juicy pear is like the best flavor of all time. So here's to a great, amazing tasting juicy pear. That was not juicy pear. That's not juicy pear at all. No, it's not. No, it is not. No, no way, no way. That was disgusting. Yeah, that one, no, that was not juicy pear at all. If that's a juicy pear, that is the nastiest juicy pear I've ever had. That there's not even a similar weight or anything. So let's go bean number 6. Let's just kind of see how it goes. Just a couple more. Ooh, goody, birthday cake or dirty dishwasher. Once again, when I see a flavor like dirty dishwasher, that leads me to ask a question. Who actually tasted dirty dishwasher so they can make the comparison to make it into a jelly bean? Like that is my biggest concern of who willingly drank dirty dishwasher just so you can make a bean out of it to compare if it's like they're accurate or not. You had like, how does that work? Or do you just make a really bad flavor? Like, you know what this tastes like? This tastes like that. This tastes like this bad thing. This tastes like a dead bug. That's what, no, this tastes like a stink bug. Yeah, this just reminds me of a stink bug flavor. We're gonna go ahead and label that stink bug. I really hope that's more likely the case. But anyway, so here's the birthday cake or dirty dishwasher. Yes. To birth. I was wrong. I was really wrong. Suddenly this like feeling of soap just hits you and you're let's do one more because I've only had one good bean so far. We're gonna do one more. Best of 7, even though I had 6 bad beans, I think. Hey, I honestly can't even tell you. I just go for one more. Why not? And Tutti Frutti or Stinky Sock. I'm not even gonna look for another one because it's like, why does it even bother? I've had nothing but bad ones, so I'm just gonna go ahead and assume it. This is Stinky Sock. That's what it is. Wow. You know, I just realized when I play this game with my buddy, and then I've eaten this bean, I've never had a Tutti Frutti flavor. There's been moments where I've gone in and I'm like, all right, this is Tutti Frutti, I'm good. It just tastes bad. So here's to a first. I'm gonna go ahead and end it on a high note right there. So I think I've had 7 beans. 5 of them were bad. 4 straight, I think, before we had a good one. Well, you know, 5 weird flavors. 1, toothpaste is actually not that bad to go with. Now I'm gonna go try to find a toothpaste flavor because my mouth feels awful. So we're gonna go ahead and take a short, quick intermission before we go ahead and dive into it because I need to brush my teeth. And we are back. Wow. Fun game, actually, is, you know, despite some of the things that went wrong in that game is actually a lot of fun. I really do enjoy that one playing with somebody. So that leads me to my next thing. Of course, I didn't do one last week before. I'm actually throwing out a challenge. If you guys can, I know that isn't if you feel brave, there's a better question. I would love to see you guys try to play this game, Bean Boozled, with your siblings. Definitely not a sponsorship or anything like that. They didn't do that. If y'all want to, give it a shot, if you feel brave, please feel free to go ahead and do what we always do. Send those in, students@fellowshipwarney.org. We'll go ahead and have a shout out next week in that. It really is a fun game. We're like, you know, a video of you guys doing it. Love to see the bad faces when you get a bad one. I know it's going to happen to you guys. Excuse me. That is a fun game to play, but that's kind of one of those if challenges. I ain't going to force you guys to do that one, of course, but if you want to do that, send that in. We'll give you a shout out next week for your bravery in dealing with a bad bean like dead bug or dirty dishwasher or boogers. Yes, those are all 3 flavors in there. You will see. So let's go ahead and dive into today's lesson. Of course, we're going to go ahead and continue what we talked about last week. You know, we talked about the story of David a lot, putting honor first, or honor upon others as well, putting them first and all sorts of things. But so last week we really talked about the beginning of David, or, you know, how David kind of transitioning from, you know, being a servant of Saul into hiding to becoming king. Last week we talked about Saul's death, how David responded to that, how he mourned, him and all his men were upset about that. They repeatedly talked about, you know, how upset they were about the death of God's anointed king. They had someone who lied to them, said he killed Saul to put him out of misery. David executed him, of course. And, you know, Saul and his sons, Jonathan died there as well. And how they were basically embarrassed, humiliated. Some honorable men traveled a long distance to give them a proper burial for their king. So that kind of catches up. So, you know, that's kind of where we left off at last week. David learning about the death of Saul and Jonathan and all of his sons on Mount Gilboa at the hands of the Philistines. So, before we go into that, I kind of want you guys to think about something real quick, because we're still continuing this series, Honor Upon Others, VIP. I want y'all to think of a time that someone told you a promise. They promised you something, but they really didn't go through. Think about that really quick. How did that feel? I'll give y'all 30 seconds. What does that say when they do that, when they don't come through with a promise? What does that say about them? Or what does that say about the situation? How does that make you feel? Now, what if it's someone that does this repeatedly over and over again? They repeatedly say, they have a promise and it doesn't come through. What does it say about them? How do you feel about them? How does that affect everything? How does it think it affects their real opinion on you, of course? Now let's look at the opposite. What about someone who does come through? How satisfying is that? When someone promises you something and they deliver on it, how satisfying is that? And when they repeatedly come through on that, when you just know deep down that they're always going to deliver. I want y'all to think about that kind of scenario real quick. So, now we're going to go ahead back into the story we're talking about real quick. We just picked up with the death of Saul, and David found out about it anymore. But now you're probably thinking, hold on, wait a minute. Saul's king of Israel. Jonathan's dead as well. His sons are dead. Does this mean David's finally going to be king? As I said, he was chosen to be king as a teenager, back with the sheep. He's more patient. And the correct answer, and the excited answer is no, he still doesn't get to be king. He has even more waiting to do. There's some still things that God had planned for him that he had to sort out here. And there's a war that he had to fight. There's actually a civil war on top of that. There's a lot of stuff. Like we talked about the very first week, Mission Control, everything in God's timing. God still had plans for him. It was going to be in his timing, not David's timing, not his own. Of course, we would think repeatedly in a situation like this is the right time to do it. No. In fact, David was very patient throughout the whole thing because, like we've always said every week, he's a man after God's own heart and realized that. But finally, after years of waiting and issue after issue, David becomes king of Israel in 2 Samuel chapter 5. It says in verse 3, so all the elders of Israel came to the king at Hebron and King David and made a covenant with them at Hebron before the Lord, and they anointed David king over Israel. That is it. He finally becomes king of all of that. After serving Saul faithfully, slaying Goliath, then even going in hiding, having opportunities to kill Saul but still not going to, staying loyal to him, and even dealing with the civil war afterwards. There's a whole mess of things that happened in between after Saul's death to now. He finally gets to become king. So let's continue to rewind a little bit back. Right when, I just mentioned a second ago when David went into hiding, he met with Jonathan. Y'all remember that Jonathan kind of had a feeling something was going on, so he set David, or not really set David up. He was like, here, look, the Feast of the New Moon is coming up right here. You go hide in the fields, and you're supposed to be there, but I'll tell my dad you're somewhere else. We'll gauge his response, and you'll hear the archer over here. I'll be throwing some arrows. Had to catch my breath. Sorry about that. Have to slow down when I get too fast, but... So, sorry about that. He said, I'll be practicing my archery. I'll have a young man with me. I'm going to fire some arrows, and I'm going to guide him depending on my response. You'll know what to do. You'll know what's going on. I'll tell you, they found out Saul wanted to kill him, so that's where Jonathan and David had one last moment before David went into hiding. It says in 1 Samuel chapter 20, we talked about this about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Verse 42, then Jonathan said to David, go in peace because we have sworn, both of us, in the name of the Lord, saying, the Lord shall between me and you, and between my offspring and your offspring forever. And he rose and departed, and Jonathan went off into the city. This is the last thing they said to each other before David went into hiding, into the wild. Basically said, the Lord will always be between us because we're friends. He brought us together. Y'all remember Jonathan loved David as his own soul. And he says, between you, me, and my offspring and your offspring. It even says our children are going to get along. That's a promise that even our descendants will take care of each other no matter what because we respect each other so much. Y'all remember when we talked about that? Of course y'all do. They said they will always do that. So now David is king. He's now officially, he's going in. He has Saul's old position. Let's think about this. So what's David do when first thing he's king inside of Saul's temple and all his land? He asks, is there anyone from the house of Saul still remaining? Any relatives of Saul still out there at all? He asks his servant Ziba, and Ziba actually tells him in 2 Samuel, we're back in 2 Samuel now, chapter 9, verse 3, there is still a son of Jonathan. He's crippled as his feet. Jonathan has a son. a relative of Saul that David just asked about, and it's actually Jonathan's son. David's BFF has a son. That practically makes him Uncle David now. It's really weird me saying that because I actually have an Uncle Dave, but that practically makes him an uncle now. We all talk about this kind of thing. His best friend has a son, and David finally learns about it. And that's where Ziba tells him about it. He tells him his name is Mephibosheth. After the news of Saul's death came up, Mephibosheth's nurse ran away with him, but he fell and was crippled at the age of 5, so he could no longer walk. So David, hearing about this, sends his servants for him. He says, I want to meet this young man. So he sends his servants to the house of Mephibosheth. Ziba directs him the way, sends him on his way. So imagine being from Mephibosheth's perspective. I've probably butchered that name like 3 or 4 times right about now. Mephibosheth, I think that's how you say it. So imagine from his perspective, Jonathan's son's perspective. He's at home, minding his own business. He knows he went into hiding at a very, very young age. And what happens? He gets a knock at the door, and it's David's servants. I'm pretty sure he's probably a little freaked out right about now. I'm 95% sure he was kind of freaked out. I mean, it's very normal when a king takes over and he has rivals to not just take out your rival, but all his family members as well to clean out the line. Jonathan's son knows, it's no secret that Saul and David weren't exactly, well, Saul wasn't a fan of David. David was very clear he always loved Saul. So imagine, knowing that you're a relative, a direct relative of the rival of the king. The new king is now in power, and his servants come looking for you. He probably is assuming the worst right about now. He's probably thinking David's going to get me because of Saul's actions. I'm going to die, and the worst part is he can't run. He's crippled. He can't go anywhere, so even if things go wrong, he knows he's basically screwed. But he has to go with him. So it says in 2 Samuel chapter 9, verse 6, after the servants bring Jonathan's son to him, it says in verse 6, and Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, son of Saul, came to David and fell on his face and paid homage. And David said, Mephibosheth, and he answered, behold, I am your servant. I'm probably going to say that name wrong like 8 more times before we go through this. But he says, behold, I am your servant. Jonathan's son, that is his new name. I'm going to refer to him for the rest of the time today, immediately bows to David. And he wants to know right away, I'm your servant. I'm here for you. I mean no harm. I'm just going to be loyal to you because that's what it is. He immediately is humble to him and lays his face down. But what does David say? How does David respond when he finally sees his best friend Jonathan's son at his feet and gets down and bows to him? What does he say in verse 7? David said to him, do not fear, for I will show you kindness for the sake of your father Jonathan. And I will restore to you all the land of Saul your father, and you shall eat at my table always. That verse gets me a little choked up a little bit. Bromance is awesome. And David honors the promise, basically. That's what he says. He says, in fact, he's going to give him back all the land that Saul had. He's giving him all the land of the king. He said, this is yours as far as I can tell, and you will always eat at my table. You will be by my side. Because that is the promise I made to your dad that we would take care of each other. Imagine Jonathan's son shock that Grandpa's rival, who y'all had, really, really not fun stuff going on there, knocks at your door, basically says, I want to see you. You're thinking you're going to die, and now you're learning you're getting all of his stuff, all of his land. And you get to eat with the king for the rest of your life. How would you do that? How would you respond to that? Of course, yeah. That'd be comforting at the same time, all sorts of things. That's awesome. David kept his promise. In fact, he's not even done. He gives him servants. He called Ziba, the guy who kind of directed him originally. He was originally one of Saul's servants. He says in 2 Samuel chapter 9, verse 9 and 10, then the king called Ziba, Saul's servant, and said to him, all that belonged to Saul and to all his house I've given to your master's grandson. And you and your sons and your servants shall till the land for him, and shall bring in the produce that your master's grandson may have bread to eat. But your master's grandson shall always eat at my table. He gives him servants on top of that because he can't walk. So he also gives him all these who are going to go and till the land for him. This kid's never going to have to work another day of his life. He is set. David pretty much just kept his promise. and like multiplied it in tenfold as far as I could tell. It's one thing just not to kill him and just to acknowledge, hey, yeah, me and your dad were bros, you're good, but he literally gives him all this and servants and more. This kid won the lottery as far as I can tell. David once again goes outside the status quo. Once again, he does, that's what I call it, the status quo. The things that are considered normal, that you would normally do, David just goes against that. For example, of course, what I talked about, killing his rival Saul, even though Saul's very openly wanted to kill David, David never laid a finger on him. Once again, David goes against that. Once Saul is dead, and he can go ahead and he has every right to clean out the line of Saul and make his family suffer, he takes care of his grandson, and even his servant, Saul's servant Ziba, keeps him alive too, and is even willing to let him continue serving in Saul's line. He kept the promise of his best friend Jonathan and ensured his lineage would be fine. He continued to honor Jonathan by keeping a promise he made even after Jonathan's death. Think about what that says about how much David loved Jonathan, and he's willing to do that. The honor that puts on Jonathan's memory, that he's going to honor and take care of his son afterwards. That's a kind of thing. I'm about to give some kind of example about that, but I really feel like I don't need to taking care of your best friend's son because you ask you to. That's a big responsibility, and he's willing to do that for him. So think about what it says when you keep a promise to your parents, or when you keep a promise to your friends or to your teachers, when they ask you to do something, you deliver on that promise. Think about the honor that you're putting on them, that you're able to fulfill that promise. Now think about what it says when you don't keep that promise. Think about that. What does that say when you're promising to do something, you're promising to deliver, and you do not do that? Think about what that means. We good? Now here's a kicker I want you guys to think about. Jesus made a promise that he guaranteed to keep, because Jesus never breaks his word. We've been going through Isaiah every Sunday morning. So it says in Isaiah 54, verse 10, "For the mountains may depart and the hills may be removed, but my steadfast love shall not depart from you, and my covenant of peace shall not be removed, says the Lord who has compassion on you." Isaiah 54, verse 10. That is basically God saying, my promises will never fail. I always keep my covenants, my promises, that I will be faithful to you. Jesus promised he would return one day. He promised that when he died, that'd be enough to cleanse our sins, guys. Jesus keeps that promise. Imagine what that said if it didn't. He ensures he will return again. So think about the honor that God puts on you when he keeps that. When he did keep that promise. Think about what that... I always get choked up thinking about that. I really do. Think of the honor that God puts on you with that promise. The creator of the heavens and the earth and the whole universe. Think about what that means, that he's keeping that promise. Guys, think about that. I just want to leave it as that. I'm not going to ramble. Think about that. Think of what the impact of the gospel makes. So I'm going to go ahead and pray real quick. So, yeah, go ahead and make fun of my hat here. That's fine. Dear Heavenly Father, we love you, God. We just thank you for the ability of technology to us to be able to spend time with you and still have fellowship with each other, even though we're so far away, God. As always, I thank you constantly for that. I thank you for this season of growing closer to you. As always, God, I thank you for keeping your promise, God. I thank you every day for that, and I always will thank you every day for that. And I pray that we are able to learn what that means, the impact of that, the impact of a kept promise is, and how we put that honor on others when we're able to fulfill the deal, God. I pray that we're able to follow the example of your son and continue to do that, and also at the same time follow the standard. Your son made the standard, but follow what David did, and we're able to honor our friends and our family by keeping the promises and the obligation that we keep to them. God, I thank you for that. In your glorious name I pray. Amen. All right, guys. Real quick, couple quick announcements. In case you did not know, we are actually having service this Sunday, actually. We actually were sent out an email to your parents about that. In case your parents haven't do that, please fill out the survey. Let us know what services you're going to be coming to so the staff can plan, us included, can all plan appropriately for that. We are adding a Saturday night service as well, so we have service on Saturday at 5, and then we're also going to have a course as normal, 9 a.m. and 10:30. Guys, I'm super excited to hopefully see you guys this weekend if you're going to be there. Do not feel obligated to, of course, if you cannot be there. If you don't feel comfortable with that, I get it. But just want to let you know that will be meeting officially this weekend. So thank you guys for tuning in. Love you guys. hopefully we'll see you guys this week. I'm really excited for that. You guys take care.